Yeah,
He's taking a few days up from us. How is
like,
that even possible?
yeah, that's hard to be honest. I mean, I was on vacations, but when I came back with the full story of Never Alone. So it's not really possible to actually take vacations from Star Atlas.
Yeah, that sounds like a writer. They do more work in a vacation than they actually when they are in the office.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because you don't have meetings and you don't have pressure, so you can let your mind flow, which is really good.
It's how I imagine Newt like on some island with a Cuba Libre and a cigar and writing on an old typewriter,
Exactly.
something like
It's like that,
that, in
bro.
this Hemingway style.
But
No.
I but I was in the cold on this last vacation. I was in the south of Brazil, a small town called Gramado. Yeah, man. It's a German town, by the way, ODPB. You should check it later. Very cool.
Yeah, we can. Hey Dom, how you feel as an Oni today?
I'm feeling great, man. Feels good to be the best faction.
Oh, way, bro.
Bro. Bruh.
Bro. Come on, bro.
Don't start a fight. We've had enough of those lately.
Yeah, man. We have enough fighting in the community right now. So I think it's about time we get started. What do you think, Dom?
Yeah, let me start the event and then we can get started. Cool. Start. All right. Welcome, everybody. If you're listening to the VOD or you're here, if you're listening during work or you're just listening and ready to chat with us, welcome. Welcome to Atlas Brew number 68. Today we're talking about lore with the head writer Matt Medney and Jose, of course, who's also part of that team. I'm really excited for today's brew topic today. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Dominic. I'm the community manager at Star Atlas. And then I'm joined by my co-host, Jose. Introduce yourself, please.
Hey, Dom. Hi, guys. I'm Jose. I'm part of the comms team and the lore writing team. It's a pleasure to be here in another episode of our glorious, epic, undying, and everlasting brew. We have a very special episode today because we have, first of all, the legendary head writer of Star Atlas, Mad Madney, with us. It's the first time he comes to talk with community, so let's give him a warm welcome, and especially because today is his birthday. So yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today, Matt, and it's going to be a wild episode for sure. And we have a very special surprise for you guys today as well.
Already a
Joe.
legend.
Yeah, I'm
Joining
very
us
excited
birthday.
to be here, guys.
Cool.
Yeah, guys, give some birthday for him in the group chat.
Cool. All right. Well, if you guys don't know what the Atlas Brew is, the Atlas Brew is a weekly Star Atlas gathering we do in Discord, where we just nerd out, 3D craft, and discuss Star Atlas related topics. As always, we do take notes, so your voice does matter. If you have a suggestion or anything else, feel free to say it in the voice chat or type it in the Atlas Brew text channel. But yeah, without further ado, you guys know we like to do some noteworthy news before we head into the main topic. First things first, man, Jose, I've been seeing a lot of interesting conversations and arguments happening. What are your thoughts there, man?
Yeah, man. I would even go as far as saying that political activity in the Staratas community is super spicy in the last days, and we as Staratas team members won't get directly involved on this, but I feel that it's important for us to bring awareness that the Star Atlas game, and by game I mean all the political activity, relationships between guild members, community members, and other people has already started. So I think it's important for guild members and guild leaders to start paying attention to those political movements, especially community members join their guilds and things like that, because the game of Star Atlas has already begun. So we
It's
urge you
scary out
guys.
there, man.
It's scary out there. It's a big galaxy. So yeah, that's all we are going to say about the topic.
That's why I just stay in my own little corner.
Yeah, safer this way.
Next up for noteworthy news is, oh my god, why didn't it go? Oh, there we go. We're going to be at Play DG in San Diego, and we're also going to be doing a Atlas Brew meetup in San Diego. So the date for that is July 19th. It's going to be at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it'll be 2 hours. We're gonna have Michael Wagner is going to be there. I actually believe Matt Menny is also going to be there. I'm going to be there. AJ is going to be there. He's a head of marketing. So we have a lot of team members going. We're going to be giving away some Star Atlas goodies. So definitely come if you can. It's going to be a really fun time. Seriously, it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, guys, it's a huge opportunity to meet people from Star Atlas. You going to be there, Dom?
I'm going to be there.
Man, you got to meet Dominic. This is a privilege. I wish I could meet Dominic.
Ladies and
make
gentlemen,
sure
I
to
hardly
go
leave
there.
my room. So this is it.
This is a this is a rare event, guys. I would enjoy it while it lasts.
All right, cool. Moving on. So Twitter came out with a new feature, and it's called Twitter Communities. Basically, it's kind of like a similar to Reddit, where you can post things and keep things on topic. It's like a dedicated Twitter feed for whatever topic you want it to be. So we made a Star Atlas Twitter community. If you're active on Twitter, you want to have a Star Atlas Twitter feed, go and join that. I just linked it in the Atlas Brew chat.
Yeah, that's
that-
important, guys. Make sure to
Absolutely.
join our community.
And then next up, I saw this from the Hologram News. They broke this. We broke a record here in Escape Velocity, and we reached 11% of Solana transactions at a given point, which is pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie.
Bro.
11% of Solana transactions is crazy. I think our record before was like 6% or 8% or something like that. So we blew that out of the water. Seriously crazy. Escape Velocity
Bro.
has just been getting crazier and crazier.
Imagine that, like, we are just getting started, and the only on-chain activity in Escape Velocity right now is movement. Imagine when we have a scenario where everything that we are doing goes on-chain, and we actually have proper gameplay loops and things like the next Sage iteration. It's going to be wild. We'll be like the whole Solana. They'll need to create a new Solana for the other people.
We're gonna have to have our own forked Solana.
Yeah.
Cool. Moving on. This is a really cool one. I want to, we give this guy a shout out all the time, but Enigma 42. I don't know if you guys remember, but we gave a little sneak peek to a Star Atlas gun. I think it was like last year, and he just replicated that in real life, and it's fully functional. I think it says it on the picture actually. Imitation laser flash on fire, full power, stun mode, laser sight module, handle lighting, sound effects, USB rechargeable. That's insane. Seriously insane. And you can go to his website and I think he shows you how to do it. I think you have to pay a little bit, but that's insane. It's epic.
Bro, it's freaking crazy, right?
Dude, that's insane.
Man, super epic. I'm happy to see those things coming on when we have Star Atlas conventions, things like that, and we have people wearing our guns and stuff like that, bro. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. All right, before we get into the main topic here, I know some people are here for the Never Alone code. I'm going to put it in the chat and I'm going to say it out loud. It's Lore Keeper. Lore Keeper. Go ahead and put that bad boy. It is. Put that bad boy in Zeely. Get your XP. Don't forget. All right, let's move on to the main topic. So today we actually launched a lore Bible. It's basically a one-stop shop. You can go to this link, lore.staratlas.com, and you're going to be able to learn all the canon lore that you want to learn. That's a big reason why we wanted to get Matt Mendy on here today, so Jose and him can bounce off ideas, talk about the lore Bible. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for a while. So I'm super excited for it to be out now. People have been asking, like, how do I just learn the Star Atlas lore? And Pock the Pirate actually just linked it. Thank you, Pock. Appreciate you. I'm going to link it one more time as well. But yeah, I think this is a good time to introduce Matt Medney. So Matt Medney, we're super happy to have you on here today. And you're the head writer at Star Atlas. Can you give us your impressions? Can you give us your impressions on lore.staratlas.com, the thing we just launched?
It's a culmination of everything that we've been doing for the last few years. Jose, myself, and the entire team putting together the building blocks and the different corners and crevices of this universe to make the main storylines make sense. Everything is funneled from a peeling onion, and to get to the core you have to have all of these layers of different things that go on to make it all make sense. And this lore wiki, this Bible, is sort of the culmination of countless hours of debate and character building and world building, put somewhere that we could distill for the community to be able to start enjoying it and understanding how some of these movements and things have been put together.
Yeah, man. So this website is where you can find everything you need to know on canon Star Atlas lore. You can find information on factions, the known story, list of characters, planets, ship manufacturers, species, races, governance, and religions. So that's pretty crazy.
And more to come. We'll be updating it monthly with new lore, with updates to the lore. It's sort of, think of it like a living, breathing organism. The world is ever expanding, and different parts of the community and the world will become known through discovery, archaeology, etc. And as those things sort of reveal themselves, we'll be adding them to the lore wiki, to the canon Bible.
Nice, man.
Yeah. Just to add on Matt's point, what you guys see right now is the foundation. Like, it's the main pillars of Starata's lore. And every month we are going to add more and more entries. We have a bunch of them ready to go. And as the Star Atlas world progress and we learn more things and we reveal them through gameplay and other stuff, we'll be updating, adding more content, updating each one of the pages, the files. So yeah, guys, we are super excited. This is something that we have been working for a long time now. And since it's a huge release for the lore lovers of Star Atlas, we had to pivot on the brew topic today because this deserves some love. And we have Matt here, and we can learn the real alpha of Star Atlas lore now because we have someone with the power to tell the real stuff. So yeah, make use of him today to learn cool stuff.
Definitely ask your questions today for sure.
Let's go. I love it.
Well, Matt, this is the first time we've had you join us on a brew. Can you tell us a little bit about your career and maybe how you found yourself at Star Atlas?
For sure, yeah. So, I've been in the entertainment space now for close to, how old am I? Oh, wow. Close to 15 years. And I started off in the music space as a tour and production manager. One could say that I was telling the stories of these musicians with the pyrotechnics that I was displaying on the stage. And I worked, with a bunch of, fairly well-known dance music artists, ranging from Cheat Codes and Knife Party to Keizo and Jaws, and a bunch of others. And through that, started writing and exploring other parts of creativity that I thought were really interesting. And in 2017, started writing comic books for the likes of Shaggy and Floyd Mayweather and Meek Mill and Chance the Rapper, and so on and so forth, and really realized that that was more of the speed of things that I enjoyed doing. And as that sort of evolved and grew, I found myself looking into Web3 projects and doing my own NFT collections, and then met Michael and Pablo and Stephen Hadidian and Kelsey and a bunch of the Star Atlas team at an event in Miami a few years back at this point. And it was just one of those things where we were just mind melding on ideas and what the lore and story could be, and it just pulled me in, and it was something that I was like, I have to figure out how to make something work together with this group of people, because I thought the vision was incredible at the time. The trailer was just so intoxicating, and I was like, this world is something that I'd love to put my own fingerprints on. And we made it happen, and now, almost 2 years later, we're deep in the lore building and the story, and the community response on socials with the graphic novel and with some of the other things that we put out, with the Never Alone quests that Jose has been spearheading. It's just been an incredible response of how these stories that, when we write them and put them together to kind of let you guys all behind the veil, Jose and I will like talk about them in like fractional pieces, like this one movement. And then that one movement creates this other movement. And before you know it, there's, 20, 30, 40, 100 different movements that come together to create the Never Alone world that you guys have started to explore. And there's way more coming that's even crazier and cooler that Jose is imagining. And that's how we've been building this entire community from a lore point of view, is like literally one building block at a time.
Yeah, it's super interesting because we have many different fronts of storytelling in Star Atlas, right? We have Never Alone, we have Core, we have game design, world building, we have the showroom, and everything that we release, the lore is embedded in them. Sometimes very explicit, like in Core, sometimes very implicit, like in the showroom, and the design of our ships and the manufacturers and etc. The lore is the glue that ties everything together in Star Atlas, and it's becoming more and more apparent with the new product releases, with Never Alone, with some other stuff that we have behind the curtains, right, Matt? That will be coming later.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we are super excited for this. And Matt, I would like to ask you, like, share with the community how is your process for Staratas, right? Like, how do you get into the flow? How is your process as a lore writer for our project?
Yeah. So uh, I'm very proud to say, though I know it sounds silly, to get in the mindset to write. I typically put on film scores, and typically I'm putting on Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings scores, and just like sitting in a room with that playing on repeat. Sometimes I put on Interstellar, sometimes Harry Potter, but I enjoy a good score that sort of just like lulls me into a sense of tranquility. And then from a character point of view, I really try to think of the writing from three main points of view. How does this character relate to the grand story? How does this character relate to the species in which the character is story? And how does this character move along a greater narrative? And those three ideals are sort of thought through first, maybe in bullet points, maybe in just writing a faux story just to sort of get some ideas out there. Maybe sending it to Jose so that I can get his take on it, and then ignore it. No, I'm just kidding. I take everything Jose says very, very seriously. I find his knowledge base of the Star Atlas lore to be second to none. But the process is very nonlinear. I wouldn't say that I go into anything writing a specific way, but what I do try to do every time is everything should be this happened, therefore that happens, not this happened, there and that happens. And I think that, it's something that Trey Parker always says about how they think about South Park. And the way in which they write is that every action should cause a reaction, not something else. So when you're writing, it's like R does this, therefore that happens. Or Joni did this, therefore that happens. It should never be Joni did this and Sand did that. That if you get into that sort of paradigm, what it will do is it'll create these sort of never-ending circles of story that don't really go anywhere. And what's really important, and what I think we've done a really great job with the Star Atlas lore, is everything is very intentional, and every action and every sub story and every little adventure has reverberations across the entire galaxy.
Yeah, and to add to that point, not only in terms of lore, but also game design. Because, for
Correct.
example, Outpost 39 that you guys see in the showroom right now, it came uh, from a lore writing from Matt. So this is something that I have been talking with you guys for a while now, but the lore of Star Atlas is basically the very essence of your game and things like that. So those who master the lore, I think they will be better positioned to understand how the game of Star Atlas will work and how everything will unfold in the future. I think it's super important to know the lore, even if you want to be successful in the Star Atlas universe.
Man, I love hearing you guys talking about this. It's awesome. It's so awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I mean, since we're kind of talking about the creative process a little bit, Jose is a community favorite. No one's surprised by that. I kind of want to know how you and Jose work together, Matt. What's that look like?
A lot of laughs, a lot of brainstorming. It is definitely an interesting situation in the sense that typically, and I think this doesn't just refer to me, but I think in most creative situations, and I would assume Jose would say the same thing, that you're not typically paired with someone else to do a creative endeavor. Typically, you find somebody else and you connect with them, and then you decide to do a creative endeavor. And in this situation, Jose and I were paired together at the company, and that can always go, good, bad, terrible, fantastic. And I think what's really amazing is that from the very beginning, Jose and I really clicked and mind melded on the ethos of what the story needs to be, of how to balance a hopeful galaxy with the realities of the darkness that can be found in the deepest crevices of a spanning galactic empire, and how to weave those two ideals forward in a way that is meant for everyone to experience, not too horrific, not too glistened over and bubbly, but that happy medium of stakes, fears, thrills, and love and despair. And that is something that is very rare to happen when you don't choose your creative partner, but when it's chosen for you. And I think Jose would agree that we've had this really great, year plus of kicking ideas down the line and finding ways to build off of each other's ideas rather than try to talk over each other's ideas. And I think that's why it's been able to be so expansive and so quickly built. Because, in reality, things like this, take decades to write the amount of lore that you really need for spanning a universe like this. And we've been able to accomplish a lot here in the first few years of this project, which has been pretty amazing.
Yeah, man, it's like we are a very good combo
Yeah.
as writers. Each one of us come from very different backgrounds. Matt has enormous, gigantic experience from many different backgrounds. The guy has written I don't know how many books, so he's a great guide and tutor for me, and I couldn't be more happy to work with him. It's very fun, it's very light, and the thing that I love the most is that he never rejects my crazy ideas. He actually fight for them, and this happened a couple times already where he had to even fight leadership to approve some of the stuff that I wrote. So I'm very thankful to by having him on the team and helping me with
It's always best
learning.
idea. It's always best idea wins, and no idea is bad until you explore it. Because life is not about the clearest idea at the beginning. Life is a roller coaster and a twisting and turning experience. And if you don't create quote unquote life in story in a similar way, it's going to feel rigid and stale and flat. And so it is so important to create a world and life within a world in the same way in which you would live real life, because that's how you find the happy accidents and the interesting plots and the weird characters that become your favorite, who are just like jokes that you were talking about, but you pulled the idea out of the air and then dove into it and realized that this idea actually has some incredible characteristics to it that can be fan favorites and that can be loved and hated and mourned for, and those sort of things don't happen by doing the obvious. They happen by exploring the unobvious.
Like all saints die at the end of Never Alone, right?
Oh.
I
Don't kill
mean,
Sand, man. Please.
what does the community think? Like, should Sand live or should Sand die? Like I've heard multiple things. Personally, for me, Sand is a freaking legend. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here, so I apologize, guys. But I can't stop getting more excited about Sand than most other things, because it is that exact character that went through this process that we were just talking about, where we were trying to think of a protagonist for Never Alone, and Jose was throwing some ideas at the wall, and this idea of this bandit Punab who could be satirically interesting but pushing a story forward, I found so unique, and we dove deeper and deeper into it, and then Jose embodied Sand. And going back to one of the questions you had asked earlier, Dominic, is like, how do we work together? A lot of the times, it's each of us downloading the other on a character or on an idea, because to really hum and to really make this ship fly, both Jose and I have to write characters the exact same way. And there's only really one way to do that, is to take the time and do the work to get into that character's head. So if there's a character that I feel really passionate about, which there's a handful that we'll get into, I spend a pretty decent amount of time trying to articulate to Jose who and how that character thinks. And then when Jose writes him and I see him write him the right way, it's like the coolest feeling. And I've recently written some stuff for Sand, which I think Jose feels the same way about. And those sort of things happen just by storytelling, telling each other about the different trials and the different tribulations of these various entities within the world.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. I want to go a little bit rogue here and ask you and Jose, what's the craziest lore idea you guys have come up with? It doesn't even have to be something that was approved. It could be something that was, ended up being rejected. But I want to know something crazy. I want some alpha. I'm fishing for some alpha.
Jesus.
Something crazy that may or may not have ever reached the pages. I'm not opposed to that. Let's think, Jose. What would be something that well, one of the things actually that we can talk about that is pretty freaking crazy, but is now in the lore Bible. You guys can go read more up on it. Is Hugh Harper Haley? I think he's a really crazy character. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, he's a very, very cool one. I don't want to give spoilers because he's only coming to the community knowledge right now through the lore Bible. I have never told anyone about him before, so you guys will learn about him
All
to
I
the
will
lore
say about
Byron.
him is his story links together the origins of the muds, the ecos, and the destruction of Earth. And it was the craziest idea that we had as to how those three things, almost like a Bermuda Triangle, could converge on this singular entity that could create the backstory and the realities of the situation for the human descendants today is from this character some 400 years earlier. And he is a wild entity.
That's sick. I can't wait.
Yeah. If Matt, I won't tell them the content, but I'll just mention the idea so they can start. Man,
Okay.
I like to tease them. I like to tease them. They know this, so yeah, I'm going to do this. The craziest thing that we ever spoke about for me is the lore of R, the Fotoli, and the
Well,
Twin
it's
Oranges.
not too dissimilarly connected to Hugh either, to Triple H.
Yes, yes, yes. They tie together, but for me, the wild secrets in the Star Atlas lore are the Tufas, Iris, and the Fotoli motivation. I think this will mind blow everyone once they learn about how crazy our minds can get.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best time in Star Atlas history to get lore alpha. Do it. Do your worst. Ask your questions. This is it.
Yeah, it's Math's birthday today. Maybe he's feeling generous and will answer something.
That it is. Maybe I will say this. My favorite piece of lore in the wiki, for anybody that is exploring it today, is one of the first things that we sort of um, explored was the Council of Peace's Treaty of Peace. What would that look like? How would this like declaration read? And what would the tenets of a true declaration of peace look like? So in the lore wiki, you'll actually see the actual treaty of peace that we crafted, and that is sort of the binding declaration for the current day federation that we are able to explore and the tenets of peace that were created after the war.
Man, yeah, that's a really good story. Matt, I see here in the chat someone asking. We have been told Johnny is a mix of two existing Star Atlas races. Can you comment on which ones or any hints on how she came to be? I know this hits really close home to you, so I'll let you talk on this one or say
um,
what you feel it's appropriate about that.
so Joni is a mix between two races. That is correct. I will tell you one of them, and that is all. She is part Maurice. But the other part will have to come later. In at the end of this year, we'll be announcing some exciting new additions to the lore and story worlds within our Star Atlas world. And when that gets announced, you'll be able to dive deeper into who Joni is and maybe where else she's come from.
That's
Uh,
exciting. I
Matt,
see a question, actually. I see a question. Do any species enjoy eating different species or have in the past?
Ooh,
I'm interested in that one, actually.
I think
that
Matt can
is.
speak on that. He actually, yeah, I'll let Matt talk on that.
Oh man, we have been exploring different delicacies and foods that various species would eat. I would say that in our federation, it would be looked at as cannibalism if any of the sentient species ate each other. But there is a big melting pot of cross-cultural foods that are drink. Punab ale is a fantastic drink of choice of mini Maurice. Vanilla ice cream is another great addition to the Maurice palette. Um, we have a few different Sogmian delicacies that are eaten by a vast amount of the Uni clan. All of these, we are going to work on a food menu, actually, for people to explore the different places and foods that can be eaten across the galaxy.
Ooh, okay. We have some questions coming in. I'm gonna take one more before we get to our the questions that we have. But someone asked, "Do you have an example of something not approved by the devs, or where's the limit? If there is one, and also how do you cross check all this so it's consistent?" That's a good question.
Um, I'll answer the second question first, is that you really don't want to see inside my head. Uh, I do a pretty good job of keeping it all straight, of knowing the story. Again, I think what's important to understand is that, like, you have to live the world, and part of the way that I create lore and story is um that you kind of have to imagine that you're about to teach a ninth grade history class. And if you don't have the curriculum or the ability to test a group of ninth graders on the history of whatever thing you are creating, then it is not fully developed enough. And that's one of the things that we do really well. So we use a number of tools, Notion being one of them, Google Docs being another, among several other tools to keep timelines and story arcs and character interactions straight. But at the end of the day, it really should just be second nature to anything that you would know about, if you're an American history, if you're from Europe, European history. The fact is that you need to learn and master the mechanics of the lore enough that you can actually create a random event, and then you know how that will have an outcome to the other aspects of that community. If a Punab ship attacks an Ooster mining operation by the Ooster homeworld, how will that affect the relationships between Akana and Yoki, and how would that then create tension between the Muds? Those sort of thought processes aren't necessarily something that are on paper, but it's things that Jose and I have a deep understanding of, and then we can create these thought experiments of events that may or may not actually happen to understand how that will move and change different political and cultural shifts within the communities.
Matt, uh, just so you know, you have just leaked the name of the Worcester homeworld right now.
Cool.
They didn't know that. I think this is good alpha, and the community
I'm
has been
pretty sure. I'm
feeling.
pretty sure it's in the lore wiki anyway, so we're good to go. I'm only saying things that I know for a fact are in the lore wiki. That's already live.
Awesome, awesome. But yeah, guys, if you didn't know this, I think you didn't. The Worcester homeworld is called Yoki, and I think it's safe to say that they'll be learning more about Yoki in the future, right, Matt?
Oh yeah, for sure. We're not going to tell you. Don't tell them how to spell it. That's for later.
Oh,
I'm loving to see these. I'm watching this. That's hilarious. Oh man, this is so good.
and one thing that we can say is that Yoki is very important for the lore of Star Atlas, right, Matt? I think
Yeah,
that some of the
totally.
biggest secrets and major events in the Star Atlas lore happens at the homeworld of the Ustur. So members of the Ustur faction, don't feel that you guys are not getting enough love because, well, to begin with, I'm an Ustur, so yeah, I will protect us in the lore. I'm
Yeah,
joking,
this is ridiculous. This is booster bias, by the way.
but yeah,
You know,
man, lots of
I got Matt. What faction are you?
Oh, that's a secret.
No way.
he doesn't want to be called biased.
Oh God, I hope you guys both aren't
I can't
Rooster.
tell you which species I am.
Okay,
But I
okay,
will
fair.
say I will say, as a half serious, half joke, if you read any of my other published works and you can't figure out which species I would be, then you may not have read the other published works because I think it would be pretty clear.
Okay.
I'm not a mud, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Matt, one question here. I think we spoke about this before, but I think it's good to highlight this. How frequently do you feel that we are updating the lore Bible? Like
It's going to
maybe
be once a month.
once a month, right?
Yeah, once a
One or
month.
two entries.
We'll add a couple of entries, exactly things that will um, either expand on things that are already in there, like maybe more subcategories for the Hunobs and the Fatoli. If you go to the character sections, you'll see the Maurice are really built out. That is going to be sort of the standard for every character. For every species, apologies. But we'll be adding those at different times for various reasons. And then maybe there'll be more side things that will need to be added, like if you see Outpost 39 on there, and other just places and events and things that are interesting for the community to know are in existence in the world.
That's awesome. On the topic of the back to the wiki here, you kind of already talked about yours, Matt, but feel free to add another one. But I'm interested in knowing your guys' favorite piece of lore that was just released in the wiki. Matt, I know you said yours, but like I said, if you want to say another one, go for it.
Yeah. Let me think of what another one would be. Jose, what's your favorite?
Oh man. Uh, my favorite one would be I have two that I really love. The Miri's story and the Sogmian's lore. I think those two really hit close to home for me because they were some of the ones that I did a deep dive on, creating those two different cultures and species. And even though they are both Onis, they are so very different from one another. So yeah, I feel those people that want to interpret different characters inside the Stratos metaverse, I think they will find both sides of the coin by comparing how the Miris and the Sogmians culture live and work. So yeah, those should be my highlights.
Yeah, I love that. I would say Outpost 39 and Hugh Harper Haley are some other big favorites of mine. For a couple of reasons. I'm always a big fan of any story or lore that we put out that very simply can be seen as something that could spin off into its own world. Those types of things are just special and cool, and I feel like the Hugh story, I want to learn more and want to read more. Even though I'm the one writing it, I want to discover more. I think something that I talk to Jose about a lot, and I think Jose's bought into it. And correct me if I'm misspeaking for you, but the idea that we're not really writing any of this story, that we're discovering it. And I think it's obviously like sort of just like a mind trick that you're playing on yourself, but I think it is important that when you're creating story for a universe, that you don't create it from your proclivities, that you are discovering it based on the tenets and the toolbox and the sandbox that was put in front of you. And that type of stuff is really exciting. And Hugh and Outpost 39 are both things that when we go back and read them, we're like, wow, I want to learn more about these.
Yeah, Matt, I totally get you when you say that. Star Atlas world, the galaxy, Gaia Expanse, for me, it's like a living entity that the more I look at it, the more it reveals itself to me. And the different characters, the different species, the different planets, they come to me like some sort of revelation about a truth that's hidden inside this concept of what is Star Atlas, and it unveils as I start to think and write and investigate each one of the massive aspects of this galaxy. So it's really fun because for sometimes I'm exploring a concept from the economics team of Star Atlas, and then a lore point comes out and out of it, and it gives me inspiration to write about some stuff that's not necessarily related directly to economy, but it plays with the underlying rules of the economic logic of the Star Atlas team. And oh, by the way, talking about economics, you guys will find the Lore Bible, the doctrine of the Council of Peace economic policy as well. This was done in partnership with the economics team of Star Atlas, especially Gareth, helped did the basis of this. So make sure to check this out. But yes, it's like the world of Star Atlas is a living thing, and Math and I are just, describing or interpreting the way it manifests to us in reality. This is the
That's
impression that I have.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I think it's exciting when you think about the story that way because you're also able to be a little bit more neutral and not biased. And I saw a couple of comments in there about us being biased to oosters, and I would say that is far from the truth, as everyone will learn as we dive deeper into the lore. I would say, you know, one of the things that I think about a lot with this story is the price of peace. And I think something that Jose and I hold very tight to ourselves is that, we are in this golden era of the Federation, of the Star Atlas, and the price of peace is not cheap. And it's really important to remember that within this world, that, when you are harboring peace and when you are creating a structure that promotes peace, there are high prices to pay for that. And it's something that we explore deeply across all factions, all species, and the different movements of the Federation.
Yeah, exactly. And what Matt is saying just now, you can, if you think about this concept, the price of peace, for the Council of Peace members, for the factions that live in the safe zone, the Muds, the Onis, and the Woosters, you can link this and make a parallel of what's happening right now in the Medium Zone outside of the Council of Peace jurisdiction. And that's what we are showing through Never Alone. So we are showing the darkness of the price of peace through Never Alone. While we show the light world that's born of the efforts of the factions, etc., in the safe zone, we also show the shadows that are cast to make that bright, perfect, near utopian world to exist. And this is a theme that we really, really love to play with. And as Star Atlas new products are released and new gameplay loops are implemented, you guys will see how this develops and how the status quo of the galaxy keeps changing in order to keep the different forces of the Star Atlas political universe in check. And I think this is going to be a very entertaining journey for us writing this and for you to learn how this will unfold as gameplay, as game design, as lore, as economics, and everything else in Star Atlas.
Exactly. Well said.
I can listen
Matt,
to you guys talk all day.
yeah, I have a last question for you before we open up for free for all questions for the community. And actually, this is actually a community oriented question. As we were saying, we are going to have monthly updates to the lore of Star Atlas. And I would like to know from the community what are the topics or the information that would love to see updated in the lore Bible as soon as possible. If you want to write on the chat or just open your mic and ask for us, like,
Tufa. First thing I saw was Tufa, and I agree, man. I want to know about Tufa so bad.
Don't we all?
Don't
we
we all?
The different variations of Ooster.
Interesting.
Ooster is also interesting. Yeah, Tufa. Yeah, I agree with Tufa. I see a lot of people typing. We'll see what they say.
Can we use baby tufa to season our food?
that might break some teeth.
Oh, this is an interesting one. This guy said, Scotty said, I'd love to hear more about corporations that currently populate Gallia.
Yeah, that's a
That's
great question.
That's a great question.
What I can say right now, Scotty, is that it is a focus of ours right now to understand how commerce is going to operate from a lore point of view and from an actual in-game world point of view. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Eric has come on the brew before. Is that right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And Eric and our team on the lore side have worked really closely to create a unified narrative of which allows for the commerce within the lore and the commerce in reality to feel fluid with each other. And it is definitely something that'll be shared and explored and defined more in the next few months.
Oh, wow. This is another good question. Will there be NPC DAX or guilds that are part of the lore?
Absolutely.
That's interesting. That's really cool.
And if I may be so bold, I see. Well,
SH Bohemian, how was Earth abandoned? For that answer, go read Hugh Harper Haley.
yeah.
It is in the Hugh Harper Haley entry.
I'll give just to give some small alpha about Never Alone. In Mission 2, you guys will learn about NPC driven decks that exist in the Star Atlas world. So keep an eye open
That's
for that.
exciting. That is super exciting. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. What's the first world boss called? Do you guys know that already?
I have a couple word boss ready to roll. Not sure which one's going to be the first.
Wow.
That's a game design question, I guess.
Yeah,
this is
that. I just want to know where babies come from. LOL.
Can future faction warfare impact future lore and potentially shape the galaxy map? Example, Ooster conquering parts of mud domains.
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, for sure. As things emerge in the actual game and in reality, it will definitely hold large impacts on the lore as well.
A good question by PG. Any pirates on the lore? Yes, we have a pirate faction called the Jarvik, and they will be also present in the lore of Never Alone, so you guys will learn more about them.
Cool. We have a lot of suggestions there. Okay, let's open it up for Q&A. Anyone, literally, if any questions for Matt, any questions about the lore, put them in the chat. Obviously, you can talk in the voice chat as well. But yeah, feel free to ask whatever question your heart desires.
So I was wondering, what is your thoughts on like hunting lore?
What do you mean? You mean like how does one hunt within the world?
No, not necessarily. Like, are there legends of hunting different beasts on different planets?
I understand. Yes. There definitely is. We are exploring a few different ones. Jose, the one that first comes to mind is some of the beasts on the planet it's very hard for me to figure out how to say this because I'm not allowed to talk about it yet, but I want to make sure Jose knows what I'm talking about.
You know what you're talking about.
The short answer is yes, and you will most likely get that lore before the end of this year.
Jesus, this is massive
Yeah.
alpha.
That
Well, I'm
response
liking
got my
this.
blood flowing. That was awesome. Thank you.
You got more than you asked for, friend. Now,
Yeah.
along his
someone has a question?
question, yeah, along his question, will there be species within Gallia that are protected or endangered and have a story behind as to why and what? Like today, rhinos get hunted for their horns and elephants for their tusks, things like that.
Most likely, there will be stuff like that. The things that we've been focusing on more is currently the sort of evolution of things like the humans evolving to muds and leaving Earth, and why and how that happens on the main species. Same goes with the Fatoli and their past. I've been thinking a lot about how did we get here to Gaia, to the Council of Peace, to this place where, effectively 5 or 6 species have, allowed for enough peace for a civilization to thrive. For stuff like that to happen, you almost have to assume that things like species control and population control has already been worked through, because that's sort of like a barrier to entry for real expansion. But how we go deeper onto individual planets' needs, and how the actual population control has been set hasn't been fully discovered yet, but is something that we are thinking about and going to be exploring once we, I think, release and really sit with the larger construct of our main species being able to cohabitate with each other without starting wars, right? So, for instance, if a Maurice went to the Punop's homeworld and just started killing the quote-unquote elephants of their world, that would start an interplanetary conflict. So clearly things like that don't happen anymore. But what happens with a species attacking its own natural food sources is a very interesting question that we are still working through.
I can't
Great
wait for
answer.
you guys to finish it.
Cool. I have a couple more questions here that I really like. Are there any special or limited edition NPC ships out in the world? The second part of your question was a little bit game design, Calro. But the first question, I'm definitely interested in.
Sorry, I didn't hear. What was the question?
Yeah. So, are there any special or limited edition NPC ships out in the world?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of unique ships in the Staratos universe. Like the guys have been saying here, the Freedom Smile is the Jarvik leader, the Pirate King ship, and there is only one of it. So, yeah, there will be unique ships in Staratos lore for sure. There are many of them. We have Vanguard, like for example, the Down Vanguard, which is a mud unit of the Council of Peace. They are pretty unique as well. Yeah, we have tons of those.
Nice. Okay. Next question is this is from Grist. Is Gallia the name of the galaxy in the verse, or is Gallia a portion of the galaxy the game is set in? That's a good question.
Yeah, Gallia Expanse is a section of the Milky Way galaxy. And yeah, I don't it's massive already, like the whole universe of Star Atlas that we are writing about exists within that space. So yeah, I mean, it's already a huge map that will take many years to totally discover. At least in my how I'm thinking about it.
Oh,
Agreed.
okay. I got another question from Scotty here. Are there any antique ships that aren't produced anymore and their manufacturer has gone under?
Great
Uh,
question.
it's a great question. The short answer is yes. The long answer is we can't talk about it yet. But there will be resources that go into this pretty soon, I think. Right, Jose? Isn't that what we have been working on over the last few weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, so there, I definitely can't give you guys this alpha, and apologies for that. Hopefully, I've been alphaing enough today for everybody's liking. But this one specific piece will be coming out in the near future, and that will be the first instance of a situation where different manufacturers had come and gone, and remnants of their great work was picked up and expanded on and created into a new entity. And that sort of growth and compounding is something that we have been thinking and working a lot with the way that we structure not just ship manufacturers, but characters, lineages of blood, planetary royalty systems, house systems, et cetera, et cetera.
That's
Matt,
cool.
I just had read a very cool question here that I think allows us to go a little wild on showing them how the universe of Staratas works. And the question was, who is the most evil NPC character in Star Atlas?
It's me.
That's that's a
It's me.
very interesting question because the answer is depends, right? Um, I would say that one very evil NPC character that you guys will learn about him soon enough is the villain of Never Alone. But for example, depending on your point of view, depending where you are in the galaxy, even the COP leaders could turn out to be an evil character, right? I mean, the leader of the COP right now, Valor, is a pretty heartless guy. So,
Don't you
yeah,
dare talk about my Vower that way.
no, yeah, I won't talk on Valor because Valor is Matt's child, so he can say whatever he wants about him, but depending who you are and where you are located in the galaxy, he could become a very evil NPC.
And I would also say, to build on what Jose is saying, that not only um, could Valor be looked at as evil in that point of view, but depending on who wins certain skirmishes and battles and wars, good and evil is a construct that is looked at by the victor, the or the loser. The idea of good and evil is not an absolute that history can tell, because if you win, the loser was evil, and if you lost, the winner was evil. And I think that is an important distinction, that as we are writing this ubiquitous history, that we look at these characters and these moments and these opportunities through the lens of both their cohorts and the cohorts that they defeated.
Exactly. And we have species in Star Atlas that doesn't work in humans' morality logic. Like, for example, we have beings like Photolis and Tufas, and even bigger stuff that I won't name here because I don't want to get fired, but those beings, they they don't dwell like trivialities of human morality. So it's going to be interesting to see you guys engaging with beings whose morality doesn't follow the human logic. So yeah, we have those things as well.
Cool. I have one more question I want to ask you guys, and then we can go ahead and close because we're on the hour. This is a good question coming from Aquilifer. Could guilds end up in lore history based on certain actions such as war?
Yes, I think I would be totally
Yeah.
fine with it as long as you made something remarkable to have your name written in Star Atlas lore. So, for example, let's say you manage to kill R the Photoli. I
Oh,
think
how
you
dare
deserve
you.
your I think you deserve your name in the
Why
lore
would
if
you
you
say
manage
that? Why would you say that?
Honestly,
if you
you
manage
just
to do
doomed
something
Earth.
like that.
Now we know what happened in the future is that R heard you say this, because Star Atlas is just the big secret is that Jose and I actually created a time machine, and we're just moving into the future to gather the information to bring it back here. And now we know why Earth is destroyed because R is angry at Jose.
So it's all Jose's fault.
Jeez, I destroyed Earth. Sorry, everyone. I sealed our fates.
Mystery solved. Yep. Cool. Cool. Well, I think this is a great time to close. Matt, I wanna thank you again for joining us on this brew and talking a little bit about yourself. Happy birthday, by the way, again, and congrats
Thank
to you. Congrats to Jose on the lore wiki that just launched. Matt, do you have any closing words you wanna say?
Everyone that's saying don't go and let's keep talking about this, I'll make sure that this is not as rare of an encounter as it has been so far, and I'll be happy to come back on the brew and kick it and talk more lore every so often because this was a lot of fun, and it's really great to see all of the positive responses as we're talking back and forth. Yes, before my next birthday, for sure, Groove.
It can't be once a year. This can't just be a birthday present, man.
But I think the big thing is that we Jose and I and the whole team let's watch and see what you guys say online, and whether it's Twitter, whether it's Discord, and the overwhelming support and love that you guys always give us when we release something new related to lore, whether it's Never Alone, the wiki today, the graphic novel. All of it has been just such a pleasure and a joy to communicate these amazing stories to everybody, and we're just excited to keep building it and keeping your guys' support and going deeper and deeper into the galaxy and discovering more information to bring back to everyone.
Exactly, man.
Well
You
said,
said
Matt.
everything.
Can we get some W's in the chat for Matt? Thank you for joining again, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Freaking awesome.
All right,
Love
Jose,
you
do
guys.
you have any final words, Jose?
Yeah, man, this was one of my favorite brews. I'm relieved to have Matt here so we can go deeper into lore alpha without risking me getting fired for leaking stuff. So it was super fun. I hope we do this many more times. I enjoy talking and sharing Staratas lore. And the last thing that I want to say is that I'm going to send the last brief about how Never Alone ends to Matt now, and we'll talk about this after this meeting. So,
I'm excited. I'm
yeah,
so
it's
excited for this, guys. I'll just leave with this. Jose has been hyping this ending up to me for days, and just so that we're all on the same page, he doesn't hype anything up typically. So I actually take that hype with a lot of gravitas because it's gonna probably be a wild idea, which I'm very, very, very excited to explore with him.
yeah, it's going to be fun
Man,
for
I'm so
sure.
excited.
All right, guys, thank you very much. This was the Atlas Brew 68, Dominic.
Atlas Brew 68. We have Atlas Brew 69.
Honestly,
Well, next
that's
week.
really the sad that I wasn't on 69, but it is what it is.
You can come for 69. I think we'll have a very interesting topic for Atlas Brew 69.
We'll
Can we
talk
get
about
some nices in the chat?
we'll talk about interspecies marriages in 69.
Yeah. Actually, we are talking about politics, so I think it's on team as well.
Man.
Oh, I love it. I love it, guys. Thanks so much.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you, Matt, again, and thank you all for joining Atlas Brew number 68, lore with Head Writer and Matt Mendy. Don't forget, we just released the wiki. I'm gonna link the tweet as well. Go check out the wiki, read up on the lore. We're quizzing you next week. See you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See you, everyone.